Next presenter is Phil Ruffus. He's going to speak about implementation from a district perspective.
My name is Phil Ruffus. You should know me by now. I've been allowed to come to this conference, and I've spoken to you pretty much all morning. What are we going to talk about today? Well, I had a whole lot happier presentation for you until last night. So like my presentation and like Jim's presentation, we got a little spin on it. So we're going to take you through how we've tried to implement it. It's very easy, as I believe I can quote Hamilton. Washington said it in the musical. Winning is easy, but governing is harder. Putting together an asset management plan is simple from the top down. But as we'll walk you through a little bit of history, it's become increasingly difficult to actually implement those plans. Top down, very simple, but let's take you down to a district level. Before we start, we got to start in the beginning, and we all know we want to talk in this big, better advance. In the beginning. I won't read it for you, but this is what we're all striving for, right? This is the stuff the directors are talking about. It really sounds good. It's got a quote. It's asset management. It's difficult, and we're not good at it yet, but we're getting there. So today I'm going to tell you three major things: why, what, and how. The why is pretty simple, right? We're doing it because I see somebody caught it. I didn't know how long. I had it 2 seconds, wait and pause, and I think I went a little fast. So those of you, okay. Why? 1,000, 2,000. Cue laughter. It goes back to the stuff that we've been talking about all day, and our experts have talked about it. As we have done in MAP 21, we really didn't get really into this stuff, but when the FAST Act came out, we've been increasingly, let's use the word forced, admired, whatever word you want to use, to develop a fully implementable plan. We went through with the FAST Act. It was a 5-year. Jim's covered this in excessive detail. Basically pinning down states you better have a battle plan, and if you don't have one, we're going to have to talk. So let's bring it down. More of the why. This is what MODOT believes. It is a little propaganda, but it is, I think, actually ingrained in everybody. So we have a mission, and our mission now is shifting more to safety since last night. Well, safety becomes more importantly, we don't have the funds that we kind of thought we'd have. Okay. And the other thing we believe in is tangible results. One thing MODOT's done, even under Director Ron, back in the old days, is to establish customer service. Mike talked about it. We feel that customer service is one of our top end loads, and how are we going to get that? We got to have something we could actually quantify, some tangible results, some buzzwords, some value statements. But realistically, it's all going to be about the customer. And yeah, that sounds like, come on, Roof, really? It is, because if we sit down at the end of the day, I'm the guy that has to be on the side of the road explaining to a passerby or why I'm out there a third time, a fourth time, a fifth time. So let's talk about, we talked about why we're doing it. What does MODOT have? Big deal, you're one DOT. We are one DOT. We do have the 7th largest system. And now we are 49th in revenue per lane mile. So we have to be better at it. We have to be, just be able to really stretch out those dollars. Asset management will help us figure this out. We have more miles than our two partners to both sides. And the weirdest thing is, and I've talked to WSDOT extensively at lunch, is we own all those roads. Why? 1956, somebody passed legislation that said MODOT will take care of all farm to market, excuse me. Our system, these are our majors. We're just going to take it through really quick slides just to explain why MODOT has challenges. And then we'll talk about it, bring it down to my level. These are what we would call our minor roads. These are the roads that nobody else, I think, in this room really has a lot of. We have to take care of all these double letter, single letter, triple letter routes. Routes that have cars that are 50 a day, 12 a day. My partner Chris has quite a few of those. His district is up in the corner. And then we have really low volume roads. And these are the roads that MODOT maintenance takes care of. There is no STIP dollar, Statewide Transportation Improvement Program. There's none. This is the dollars that I have to take care of. Good news, as I did not share with you earlier, this little port, these 5 counties, that's what I have to worry about. All my district is urban. So not only do you have that little weirdness, you also have urban versus rural. Well, who's the only urban district? Me. So we'll talk about that shortly. Without going any farther, this thing comes in the room all the time. But let's continue ignoring it, right? Because I don't see it, do you? I don't see it. So I've told you why we're doing it, because we all know why we're here anyway. But I told you what I have to deal with. Let's talk about the how and the real reason that you want to hear me talk for 5-10 minutes. How do we develop? Well, you can read. We have to start somewhere. So the way that we just started was way back in 2006. We developed this tracker. It's an attempt to make everything transparent. Sorry, I said opaque. To make everything transparent. We've tried to develop 18 tangible, around 100 measures. 2 of those measures measure me, and everybody sees it. The goal of this is what the legislature is going to start using from now on. We used to give them a 200-page report. Nobody read it. It really worked out well. Now we're going to give them this tracker. So we made a goal. The goal that we do at the bottom, we're going to say, you know what, we got to start somewhere. So let's start with a program that says every 8 years we're going to treat everything. Again, this is back earlier. We're talking about a process. It wasn't the greatest goal, but we went ahead and said, you know what, 8 years, let's do it. Let's paint it red. And we started measuring. These are our tracker reports. And if I had a laser, do I have a laser? Oh, I do. This is my district right here. Who is losing? 100%, by the way, is good. I am. Yeah, I don't like that. But we're seeing trends. Okay, Simon, let's start evaluating it. Sorry. So for the colors for these kids in the back, the one on the right, that's going to be 2017 data. Be this one, and the one on the right. We're still going to meet those National Highway System data, but we want to get better. So we went through a system with this 8-year concept. We went ahead and rated interstates, majors, minors, the whole show. And I, as you can see my name, actually have to present to senior management and talk about the story. Why have I not met it? Why have I met it? So that's the system we tried in the beginning. We're modifying it. We're going to go there slowly. These are our targets. This was before we had a little funding shortfall. Again, trying to bring it back a little bit, but we're going to come it forward. Let's go ahead and let's keep our interstates at 92% good. That's pretty freaking good. Let's go ahead and keep our minors. Well, how was I doing? Let's see. Oh, youch. Wow, I wasn't hitting any of those. So we have to reevaluate the data. We're not doing something perfect. So let's go further up. And everything, by the way, you know it's determined by IRI. We developed this program, which is what I hope to show you. I have my laptop with me. This program is what I believe MAM and the Pathways and the federal other teams are actually have their own one. MODOT has its own. We're going to call it the Pavement tool, and I will show you. It's going to keep track of all this data, and if I can get it at the end of my presentation for a couple of minutes, it's going to project that using an algorithm of what's going to be bad in 5 to 10 years based on what you've done in the past. All right, let's try that. So this is what it looks like now. Now, in my own fault, I didn't know I was going to be talking to you, so I didn't take a picture back in 2012. There were a lot of red. But now at least we got a little more green. It'll show green. Here's a road where I'm falling behind. Here's a road where I'm falling behind. This is my district, by the way. It's a very small, compact district. But it's going to help me understand that. And that ARAN van that Mike told you about yesterday runs these routes every day. So that's the data that's populating this. I didn't mention that. Oh, youch. So we use that, and we project forward on an 8-year concept. It's a fancy algorithm. I ain't bright enough to know how it fires. And this is telling me what my roads are going to look like in 8 years if I do nothing. So that's how we're doing our pavement management plan until yesterday. So let's talk about then. All right, fine, Ruth. You said let's bring it down to a district level. You've got your roads. You've got them identified. How do you choose targets? How do you choose projects? We've heard all day today that sometimes DOTs will go ahead and will give you $518 million. You go figure out the projects, blah, 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 right? It's a distribution formula just like that, but in the district, my district, we have 5 little divisions. There is a team of 5 people, including me, which we'll show you shortly, run by the area engineer that makes those decisions. What jobs will be chosen? The reason I think it works a little bit better at the district level this way is that the area engineer will be that political person. I know this is what the book says, but I got somebody over here, or I got a development going in here. So the whole team is run by the project selection on the areas within our team is run by the area engineer. And the team members, if this works, area engineer, project manager, resident engineer, maintenance superintendent, all throw their ideas in a hat. It's not this weak, but it's kind of like that. All their ideas into a plan about their area priorities. So we go ahead, each team will submit this. It'll go into a big pot, and we'll start prioritizing. Now, I have a battle plan in the background, so it's not like I'm not involved, because that area plan then gets information from the bridge guy, me, and the very end, we've created a position after our last funding crisis called asset manager, and that's the guy who has all the money. So every team will deliver what they feel their priorities are based on that pretty program, and then we all get together and I buy popcorn and we fight about what gets funded. Yeah, we fight. But I haven't really had a good fight lately because we don't have any money. So we were hoping, like I said yesterday, and we've remarked 4 times, we had it on and it failed. So we are 49 out of 50. So we're going to have to tighten our belts. From that plan, we will develop the STIP. So that's how it's done down to a local level. We've talked pie in the sky. We've talked targets. You're going to hit 214 lane miles a year. This is actually how it comes down from the district. It's maybe, when I was originally proposing this discussion, we were focused on the program. I think it's kind of melded into how the heck do you guys deliver, because we have 60 million a year in my district. Well, how do you deliver that just in pavement? 60 million for me, 60 million for a bridge. You have to fix the whole district, and we're 7th, and we have 40% of the roads. So just an overall concept. So from those, to further bore you to tears, they've developed these big lists. We go into a meeting in December 12th, and we decide what will be funded for the next 3 to 5 years. And this is what the plan will look like. We repopulate this. This is more for the political angle I kind of threw at you earlier. This is what we're going to throw at the politicians now. No 200-page report. We're going to give them maps. And we can change the color of the maps to show what is going to be done. So if they say, what's being done in St. Charles County? Well, as you can see, Your Honor, we're going to be doing these roads. And that's a new way of doing business. That's the way we're doing it, well, until yesterday. But we'll probably still do it the same way. And we'll see what we're doing in 2014, 2015, and then go back and reevaluate. The key issue with our implementation of asset management is every 2 to 3 years you've got to go back and reevaluate. Is what you're doing working or not? You can see in this particular story, which I just told you because I cheated, I am not doing so good. I'm not doing so good. Well, you know why that is? Because we went to a 325 plan in 2014. Let me spin that. Yeah, spin. And we had no choice because we ran out of money. So we reevaluated again. The point of bringing you through these examples is in MODOT's program, we don't have a perfect solution, and we are constantly modifying our asset management plans. And fiduciary concerns, as you can see, now we are 46. We're budgeting $325 million a year. And what can we get out of that? That's the way we're doing it. It's becoming more run by how much money do you have versus right time, right solution, right whatever. And that's a reality. I'm not sure if any other DOTs have said out, I don't like the fact that you're taping me, but that's a reality that we're going to deal with. And we're going to run into that same funding problem in 2019. So there's what it looks like, what our plan has been. We've kind of held our own, we're still above it, and everybody else is beating me, and that's not the point of this little discussion. But we have to reevaluate this in the 14 data. I showed you the 17 data, and which way is working better. So what are we doing now? Because of what I said now, we didn't like what we were seeing in 16, right? So we're going to a third model of asset management. This model is the fiduciary constrained model. There's really not a cute name for it. Jeff City has determined how many lane miles you have to treat divided by how many lane miles there are, and you have this much money to treat per lane mile. I am not telling you I am pleased, but that's the reality. And that's how we're going to do it now, because we consistently cannot get realistic funding to do plat plans. It's ironic since I sit here at the MP3 and I say, I know, but the reality isn't there anymore. So in this story, in 2017, we see another cliff coming in 2019, where we won't have any more funds. We don't have the state funds to match the federal funds. So we go in there and we say, okay, this is what we're going to do. At least they listened to us. We sent them back a plan in 18 that says, you know what, we really don't need 103,000 per lane mile for interstates. We really only need 86 because we've been focusing on that. We've been doing really well on it. But we sure need help in the majors. And that's kind of these 2 slides are to show you that. The asset management we're going to do now is going to be based on fiduciary targets and what can you do for this amount of money. And if not, you got to prove it. So we'll submit a program like we talked earlier. Still the process is there. And if it comes in at random number, $214,000, they're going to say, no, you need to prove us why you need that. Well, why would that happen, Ruff? We'll talk about that shortly. So our annual STIP, this is our STIP. This is how we're doing it along the whole district. Chris does it I do it, everyone, well, I don't know if Chris does it, just say yes, Chris. Okay, good. All the pavement engineers in the districts are going to be held to this account, and it's got Chris's numbers, it's got my numbers, and everybody else's number, all the way out to 2024, unless a realistic revenue stream is found, and we don't have that yet. So that's our bringing it down. This is our new approach. The reason I wanted to talk to you today is so people would understand why I get passionate, upset, whatever word you want to choose, because it's constantly modified. It changed within 12 hours, because I was reading the pools saying, oh, it's going to pass, it's going to pass. That would have been $18 million per year in my district. I'm like, what can you do for $18 million? A bunch of chip seals. A bunch of chip seals. No, for the minor routes, because I ignore them, because I can't keep my majors. So that's what it looks like. Why, to get further into the details, I forgot I added this slide. All that stuff isn't just made of magic. They actually took what we did spend the last 3 years and averaged it. So when Jeff City Planning did that, they didn't just pull a number out of there. They averaged the last 3 years of what we did spend on these and said, you're going to continue spending that, because that's the 325 fallout. So what does it look like this year? That's what it's going to look like. So in Franklin County, when we talk to our legislators, when I believe you're going to help us communicate as well, Judith, we're going to start printing maps and say this is what you're going to get. So this is Franklin County. It's my least populated and it's my biggest need area. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do in Jefferson County, and these are where we're going to move forward, doing it this way. We'll see if it works. And of course, St. Louis County and St. Charles County, which are my two most populous counties. So lessons learned. Again, what did we understand? We recognized some mistakes. We observed what we did not document, but we shared them. We basically are trying to say, sure, asset management is easy, and we have a lot of vendors here who have talked to me, and they have a lot of great ideas. But we got to go back and reevaluate it at least every other year, every third year, to make sure what we're doing is even trying to work. The numbers that everybody else is seeing are going up, mine are going down. So we can see one of the holes in this argument is I don't think we're taking into account traffic. I think the traffic just murders me. And I think that's something that I will never succeed because I'm one of 7. And why do you need more money? Well, because I got to use, 7622 oils, I got to use higher oils because I just can't withstand it, and my numbers are still falling. I stole this from Oklahoma DOT, but this is a measure that we kind of just spoke a little bit with our previous. We developed this little wheel, and this is where we're really struggling right now. We got planning telling us what to do, we're going to design it, build it, I can maintain it, but we're just having issues with this feedback process. But it's a process. Somebody's got to give in. And I think you can, while we started to take divisions input over time is why I wrote that. That's not what's always happened. It's always kind of come down from Jeff City. Everybody's the same, we need to paint with a broad brush. No, let's open that dialogue and say there's different brushes. Actually, there's just 6 brushes in me because of the urban concept versus the rural. It's just no other way around it. And again, I mentioned earlier, through the funding formula, I used to get 40% of all the money because we did it on lane miles. But now we got to do that. So I said earlier, oh, a road's a road, right? So what are the pitfalls? Let's Clintonize it. We need to define is. Because the biggest thing we got is we have pitfalls. Every time we say, sure, we want to, and we recognize these as future stopping points, we want to spend $88,000 per lane mile. Well, did you account for having that money? Did you account for, throwing good money after bad? The answer, by the way, is no, and you don't want to hear that, Jerry, because he's smirking at me. Did we think about guardrail? No, that doesn't account. Our guardrail is low. Our guardrail takes up 9 to 10% of every one of my pavement jobs, and who pays for it? I do. The pavement pot. There's got to be a better way. But these are pitfalls moving forward. These are the decisions I will try to make to Jeff City saying, I get it, you want $88,000, but did you know that we had ADA problems through here? Our ADA transition plan is due in 2027. I'm going to retire in 2024. I would like those looking good. But another pitfall. Did you even think about signals? We're taking all of our signals out of the middle. And the answer, by the way, is no. But these are just challenges moving forward. And of course, one of my personal favorites, we are protected by a commission, but we can't fool ourselves that politicians want to be cutting ribbons. Nobody thinks a chip seal is sexy. They want to be cutting these ribbons. So we have to have that in our minds as well. So when we talked about it in industry earlier, and the reason I was quasi-passionate with it is, if you guys in industry would come and start selling, it might be a little more yummy. Because I'm saying, well, we're going to do a chip seal, nobody cares. I got it. And the last thing, we have an MPO. I only have one MPO. So if I say I'm going to fix everything in Franklin County, this county is going to tell me, oh, no, you're not, and we're not going to vote for it. And that's the biggest challenge we have of all. It's me, you know me by now. Let's bring an old Prussian general regarding asset management. No battle plan ever survives, and that's what I want to take away with this. No plan ever survives contact with the enemy. That's von Moltke. That was one of his famous quotes. This is our new guy. That's our new job. So we created a new person. That's the guy who's going to be our asset manager. So he's going to be my new von Moltke, and he's going to have to change that plan daily, monthly, weekly. So do you need help? These are the 3 people I've been working with help, just using manuals that are all around. But when you bring it down to a district level, you really don't get the details you need down there. You kind of 40 out. So since I have 1 minute, Dave, are there any questions?
I was just curious. I haven't read in the news the proposal that was shot down because Illinois is potentially looking at and going for a gas tax increase. Do you know what the rate was that was shot down, the percentage, the cents per gallon?
It was talking to some people when they went in to vote. The ballot was really confusing on how they had it written down, and I think that's what killed it. It was pretty close. But I was calling some other people that I knew, and it was literally the wording on the ballot talked more about the highway patrol than actual transportation funding. But I don't think a lot of that was clear for just a normal person coming in. If you researched it, it sounded good. I think the normal person going in and voting that doesn't really pay attention saw that ballot. This is just my opinion. And read, well, what is this? Highway patrol, I thought it was confusing, and I think that's probably part of the reason why it got shot down.
So to answer your question, because he asked the question, what was the actual bill? And you are right. It was a cent and a half a cent over 3 years. So it was a cent, and then add another cent, and then I would have said it was 2.5, right, Chris? Help me out. It was growing but it wasn't just here. 2.5 every year. Forgive me. Is that what it was? Irregardless, which is not a word, it's failed every single time. So realistically, I don't really have an asset management plan that I can play with at the district level. It's too difficult. What I do need is a long-term plan like the FAST Act was, because at least then I could project my targets and you have a realistic answer. I'd love to stop talking, David.
The preceding was produced by the National Center for Pavement Preservation. More information can be found on the web at pavementpreservation.org. Additional support provided by Michigan State University.